Welcome to my channel, guys. So this is going to be the first video. Today I'm going to be doing a look with the Subculture Palette. So one of my friends that I used to work with in Canada, I posted a picture on Instagram asking what palette people would want to see a look with next, and she really wanted the Subculture. So without further ado, let's get into it. So to start, I'm going to be priming my lids with the Too Faced Shadow Endurance. Oh my gosh. Now if I'm looking down this way, it's because that's where my mirror is. It's such a nice day today. Ben and I are going to go to the movies later. And he wants to see, I think it's called Long Shot. So that should be good. Now, this palette's really nice. I know that when it first came out, it received a lot of controversy online. And to be honest, I think that a lot of that was overhyped. Like, if you're digging your brush in the shadow like this, of course you're going to get fallout. So I've primed my lids and I'm just going to go in with the shade Dawn. And I'm going to take that through my crease. And I'm blending in little circles. And a lot of people go back and forth like a windshield wiper. But you can get a better blend if you go in little circles or if you do directional blending like this. And the shadows blend really easy too. I love all of the Anastasia shadows. So good. I don't know why every time I do my makeup, I always like to do my eyeshadow first. A lot of people find it hard to visualize how their look's gonna come together when they do their eyeshadow first, but I don't know, I like it. And then it's like when you pop your foundation and concealer on, it just like brings it all together. I'm into it. So I'm not really sure what kind of colors I want to use in this palette. These like mustardy yellow colors are really cool. That one and that one. And then this one here, Electric. It's like a kind of like a lime greeny gold color. But I always like to have a really nice transition shade and build up the color. And again, I'm just going in little circles. Like that. These shadows are super pigmented, so you literally just need to like touch your brush on the shadow. And I do not like tapping my brushes off. I know a lot of people do that. So I normally tap my brush in and then I'll tap it on push it onto a piece of paper towel or a tissue just to make sure I don't get any fallout. But that is looking beautiful and blended. So I'm going to go in with another brush. This is actually one of the Anastasia double-ended brushes that come in the palettes. And I think I'm going to go into New Wave, which is this color here. And I'm just going to take that one just below that first color. A good tip as well, if you don't have like super big lids, like if you don't have a lot of lid space, take your crease color and your transition color up higher. It can like look like a bit of a hot mess at the start because you're like, what? It just looks like you've taken your eyeshadow up too high. But once you add like the crease color below it and your other colors, it actually blends in and it makes your eyes appear large. These shadows are actually really beautiful. I don't know why everyone was complaining about this palette. I'm going to go back into with my first brush in that first colour and just make sure my edges are really nice and blended. Everyone always has one eye that is like slightly different than the other. So if you're not sure when you're applying your eye makeup, if it should be the same when you have your eyes closed or open, always make sure it's like the same or symmetrical when your eyes are open, because that is how other people will see you. Okay, I'm gonna go in with the shade Edge. which is this yellow colour here. And I'm going to take that all across my eyelid. I don't normally do like all matte looks, but I kind of like the way it looks. Taking my brush again, blending out the edges. So this is how it's looking so far. Okay, so there's a really cool colour in this palette called Cube. So it's like a really iridescent, like a duochrome shade. So I think I'm going to put that in the inner corner there. I always go back in with my brush to make sure things are blended. I hate it when there's like really harsh lines, unless like it's more of an editorial look or if that's the look you're going for. But for every day, I definitely love having more of a blended, blown out look. I'm going to start on my foundation. BRB, gotta wet this. Okay, I'm back and I have a wet beauty blender. I might go in with the Smashbox Primer Oil. People, I think, be a bit scared of using an oil as a primer, but it really does work if your skin is like a little bit more on the dry side, or if you find that foundation kind of just disappears, like you put it on and then it doesn't like slide off your face, but it's just gone. Your skin's probably dry, dehydrated, and sucking the moisture out of your foundation. So I'm just pressing that into my skin to help it absorb a little bit quicker. And this is great as well if you do prefer more of a like a dewy or more of a glow from within look. So for foundation today, I think that I'm going to use the Beauty Blender foundation. So this is in the shade 1.20. So for me, when I was choosing my shade in this, I did find it a little bit difficult to get like an exact color match. This one here is pretty close. It's like borderline too light, but I can make it work with bronzer. I'm pretty pale. But this one is beautiful. It has a velvet matte finish, but it doesn't look dry. And especially if you use a hydrating primer underneath, like the new Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Primer is amazing. That one underneath this foundation is gorgeous. It just gives a really beautiful lit from within glow without being dewy, and you still get that soft matte finish. I'm obsessed with the Beauty Blender, so I always usually use a sponge to apply my makeup, like my foundation. Sometimes I'll use a brush, but typically I go for the Beauty Blender. But you can see it's a pretty good colour match. It's just borderline too light. But we'll fix it up with bronzer. Concealer time. So I am going to use my Shape Tape in the shade Fair Neutral. This concealer is amazing. You don't need much. So many times I've watched videos and people literally paint more paint on their face. You don't need to do that though. It's very full coverage. So I normally just do like a little bit under my eyes. If you have quite dark circles, I would actually recommend using a color corrector first to neutralize that. That way you don't have to use as much concealer. But it is quite matte, so just make sure if you're using it under the eyes that you use a eye cream first to prep, because otherwise it can start to look a little bit crepey or a little bit dry. So I love it when you add the concealer and the whole look just starts to come together. Perfect, so we have our foundation and concealer on. Next step is to set that. So I've been loving the IT Cosmetics, the Bye Bye Pores powder. Don't mind how gross and grimy this is. This one's really nice because it actually uses silk instead of talc, so it doesn't look dry or aging on the skin, and it actually has a blurring effect. But I really love this, and it does not give flashback either. And I'm pressing that powder in place. I never bake my face. I know like a lot, it's like a big trend to bake, but if I was to bake anywhere, I probably would down here, just because I feel like that's where it would kind of wear off first. But under the eyes, I just feel like it ages a lot of people. But hey, that's just my opinion. What do I know? I don't actually set my whole face with powder. Typically, like, I don't have oily skin. And I find that like I can still blend my bronzer and everything over the top of my foundation. This particular one also has like, again, like a velvet matte finish, so it doesn't like stay like sticky or dewy. If I was using like a very dewy foundation, that like I probably would set it a little bit with some powder, just very lightly, just so that when you go to put on your bronzer and highlight and everything blends really nicely. Okay, next step is highlight, contour, bronzer and blush. So for my highlighter, let's stick with the theme and go with the Anastasia Amrezy. This is one of my favorite highlighters. I remember when this first came out when I was in Canada, I was like, no, I don't need it. And then I wished I'd bought it. It looks very gold in the pan, but once it's on, you can actually make it work really nicely for fair skins. It doesn't look too gold. It works for so many different skin tones. And I always do this before I do my brows, because no matter how careful I am, I always seem to get some sort of powder in my brow. So I usually do my brows after. Some people like to do their brows first though, and it is good if you're doing eyeshadow and you're not really sure where to like start it. It kind of does help actually if you do your brows first. Let's do a little brow bone highlight. And then I'm gonna flip my brush over and then again blending in little circles. I'm extra and I love to use multiple highlighters, so now I'm going to go on with the Dior, what's this called? Backstage Glow Palette. So I typically go in with like the gold and then the white, and I just use that to kind of diffuse the highlighter a little bit, so it's like more of a glow. This looks so blinding on camera, but in real life, like it is quite, the Amrezy is quite a bright highlight, but it's not chunky, which is what I love about it. And then I just put a little bit of the white right on that high point there, and then blend it all through. Okay, bronzer. I have been loving the Tarte Park Avenue Princess Bronzer. This one here is the one that does have like a little bit of, it's not like shimmery, but it does have like a little bit of a sheen to it. And I've actually been really liking using this brush. This is from a Sephora collection brush. It's a highlight and contour brush. I don't know if they still make this, but I love this brush because it's very small, so you can really get into those of your cheek. So obviously I want this part to be the darkest, so I'm starting there with my brush and blending down. I've been feeling really inspired lately by lots of different artists on Instagram, but also I'm like obsessed with David Bowie right now. I've always loved David Bowie, but I really want to recreate his Starman look that he had for his album, like with the big like lightning bolt over his face. I think that's iconic. I'm obsessed. So let me know if you want to see a video recreating that. Otherwise I'll probably just do it and post it to my Instagram. Okay. So I'm also going to bronze my neck. So sometimes when you wear makeup, if you don't have anything here, it can look different in photos, not because of the color but because of the texture. So I always just take a little bit of bronzer and just sweep it down my neck very light. Okay, next step is blush. Let's go in with Gold Rush. So I have had this for ages and I haven't used it. I just started using it a couple days ago. It gives a really beautiful warm peach glow. I don't know what they put in these box of powders, but they are amazing. Amazing. Okay, now let's go on to brow. Let's go in with the brow definer. So I use the shade medium brown in this. Okay. I also have the Brow Wiz, which I use from time to time. I actually went through a stage where I was using that one like every day with the Gimme Brow. So I'd like put the Gimme Brow in my brows, and then I would just add little hairs or a little bit more in areas that I felt like needed it. So typically, usually like underneath or around to sharpen it up a bit. But the Gimme Brow is typically what I use for every day because I like my sleep, and if I am feeling tired, I will do that for work instead of doing a pencil. But yeah, it's super easy to use. This product has actually twice as much in it than the Brow Wiz. So if you do like to fill in your whole brow, I would recommend the Brow Definer to you over the Brow Wiz. Unless you were liking to use the Brow Wiz with like a powder or pomade or something, it's really great. It's really easy as well. If you have any like harsh lines from your brow pencil, you can just blend it out really easy. So now I'm just going to set the hairs in place with the clear brow gel from Anastasia. Okay, now let's finish off the eyes. So I'm going to go in with a small brush underneath. So this one again is from the same set as the Sephora collection brushes. I don't know, I can't remember what set it was from, but they have like that almost like rubberized like NARS packaging handles. This is called a smudge brush. So I'm going to go underneath with that shade Dawn first. Adding the shadow underneath, I just feel like it really ties everything together. And I always like to do this after I do my concealer and everything, so that I don't have to go over it again. And then I'm going to take that same brush and I'm going to go into that shade Edge. And take that right next to the lash line. Okay, so lastly for my eyeshadow, I'm just going to take this brush. This is a Real Techniques base shadow brush, and this one here is like, you can see it's really like fluffy. So I love taking this and then just blending all around in little circles, again to give us that really nice diffused look. And I also do that underneath. So when I'm doing like the edge here, I kind of angle it up to where I want it to go. This is like one of my favorite brushes for eyeshadow though. Amazing. So I've got eyeshadow on. I look a little bit like a naked mole rat because I have eyeshadow on my lashes. So let's put on some falsies today. You can just use regular mascara. I'm thinking, so I have these from NARS. These were like from the Sarah Moon collection ages ago. I've never worn these before, so let's give them a try today. Just pop my lashes on, and I've just popped a little bit of mascara just kind of to blend them, especially in the inner corner. I always go like up like this. I don't know if you can see. For me, I find that because my lashes, when I put mascara on, they kind of curl up and they're a little bit long. I find it really difficult to apply mascara first and then put the lashes on. So I always do it after, because you can clean up your lashes. You just want to use like a little bit of micellar water. And the mascara I'm using is a Bad Girl Bang. This is a really great like volumizing mascara without being like thick and goopy, if you want a good volumizing one. Next up is the lip color. So I'm feeling this warm vibe. So I'm thinking going with a warm tone lipstick. This one's called Gingersnap from Bite Beauty. I'm kind of feeling it. Now that we have the lip on, I am feeling like I need a bit more blush. So I'm going to use this palette from Anastasia. This is the Peachy Love palette. This one here has 3 different shades in it. And I'm thinking I want to go in maybe with a mixture of these two. Yeah. Let's do it. I'm going to take that center shade just over like the apple of my cheek. And then I always like to take my beauty blender and then go around just to make sure everything is nice and blended. Okay, so last step is just to use some setting spray. So on the face, this is the Cover FX Dewy Setting Spray. This particular setting spray has a dewy finish and 16-hour wear. They also have this one, which is their high performance setting spray. And this one here has 24-hour wear. It's like super glue for your makeup. So sometimes I like to use a mixture of these. So I'll spray this one on first and then I'll spray this one on the top just to give that dewy finish. But yeah, this is the look. Comment below on any looks that you want to see next, if there's a specific palette you want, or a review of a product or a technique that you are curious about. Leave it below and remember to like and subscribe for more content.